Hey there guys, trying a different style video today, so let me know what you think down below afterwards, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So, Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton are F1's two most decorated drivers, with Lewis unfortunately being cursed by Netflix once again in this past weekend and not managing to equal Michael's 91 win record. This got me thinking about the manner in which the drivers will go to win, and what they represent as world champions. Michael Schumacher, arguably one of the sport's greatest drivers in the dry, and in the wet especially, with him being given the nickname the Rainmaster after the 1996 Spanish Grand Prix, after a historic drive to bring him the first of his 72 wins for the Prancing Horse. He's also currently second on all-time pole positions with 68, and holds a record of 7 championships and 91 wins. Then we have Lewis Hamilton. Lewis currently holds 90 wins and 6 championships to his name. He also has 96 poles, and that's 28 more than Michael, and we can be certain he'll have many more to come as he is a qualifying specialist. We can be more than certain he will end his career on more than 100. Much like Michael, Lewis is an astounding wet weather driver, with a couple notable races being the 2008 British Grand Prix and the 2016 Brazilian Grand Prix. Now I've got the boring bits out of the way, let's just jump into my thoughts. So, Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton will go down as legends in our sport, not only for the things they did on track, but off it as well. No, not that. Michael went to the extremes of what people thought was possible as a racing driver, pushing to constantly be fitter and better, and also getting every single bit of performance out of his team. Famously, when he went to Ferrari, he would go and spend time with every single member of the team and make them feel part of his journey to winning, and then going on to become world champion. He would get every team member's birthday and go and see them and wish them well on it and give them presents. Michael was the definition of a team leader. In the way old team members or current team members still speak of him, who were around him at the time, show the bond he made with them, and that they felt a special part of his journey to becoming a world champion. Lewis is now showing the amazing work that he's doing off track, whether that be from him being #blessed, having his own fashion line with Tommy Hilfiger, or showing he can be a top level athlete and a vegan on top of that. And now in this past year, he's pushing for social reform of the Black Lives Matter movement. On track? Well, the two are a little bit different. With both being serial winners, they only expect the top step, and will go to any means necessary within the rules to win, in Lewis's case at least. Michael, on the other hand, not so much. There are often examples where he would go beyond the rules, and here are some. And this. Oh, this one's good. And finally this lovely move on his former teammate Rubens Barrichello. Now, as I've said before, Michael is an amazing driver, and without a doubt one of the greatest seen in the sport. But as a world champion, you are the representation of what the sport is, and I remember growing up, watching F1, my mum would always make remarks about Schumacher, saying he was a sore loser and not a real winner. Obviously, not all of Michael's championships were won or lost in this manner, with the likes of the 1995 season being one of his best, as he was clearly not in the best car, yet managed to drag it to a win with no controversy. Also, his 2000 season, where he beat Mika Hakkinen to the championship and in a 21-year-old Prancing Horse drought. Now, with their level of success, it's no surprise that Lewis and Michael are controversial. As with most things, when you're the best, people will pick at the smallest details of something to try and knock you down a peg. With them being the two biggest names in the sport at their height, they were what the public saw as Formula 1. When the public see you like that, then you need to make sure that you're seen in this sort of light, and, well, not this one. Now, as I said earlier, as a world champion, you represent something. You're in a sense bigger than the sport. You're one of the ones that made it above the rest to the highest acclaim. So the manner in which you get that is very important.
He drove me off the road a couple of times.
You want those victories to be legitimate and genuine, and Lewis has done this. This is why I think he's a better world champion than Michael, because he represents the antithesis of a champion to me, and someone who does it dominantly and fairly, and that just can't be said for Michael. With Lewis, I never feel like there were any backdoor dealings with the team, or that he had to be political to get his way within it. We know that just can't be said for Michael. Yes, it's important to be a team leader and both give and have respect for every member of the team, as ultimately F1 is a team sport. And I can say Michael, more than most, did this with Ferrari. However, some of the things I think Michael represents is not what I feel a sportsman should be, and most importantly above all is winning fairly. Well, I cannot say equally, as F1 has never had two top cars that are equal, except for maybe that one year. Michael was always the number one in his team, much like Lewis has been for most of his time at Mercedes, but not as much in his McLaren years. Where in 2007, he was a rookie and they had two-time world champion Fernando Alonso in the car. Or in 2008 and 2009, when he had the 8th fastest driver in history according to AWS, Heikki Kovalainen. Then preceding that, Jenson Button, who was now the most recent world champion. And alongside Lewis, there would be no point giving Jenson a higher status in the team. It can probably be said that Lewis has had a much shorter time as a clear number one within his teams compared to Michael. As during his championship fighting years, Michael was only ever outscored by his teammate twice, and that can be said the same for Lewis. Michael, in his first season, where he was outscored by much more tenured driver and three-time world champion Nelson Piquet by half a point, and then in the 1999 season where he broke his leg at Silverstone and was only outscored by teammate Eddie Irvine by 2 points, and Lewis was only outscored by Jenson Button in the 2011 season and Nico Rosberg in the 2016 season, where Nico went on to win the title and Jenson placed second in 2011. The point I'm trying to make is that on their day, both drivers are clearly in a field of their own, and it takes astounding performances to beat them. But when it comes to how they won their titles, Lewis has done it much more like a sportsman, and he's done that since day one. As when he was a child, his father Anthony told him to get the job done on track. This was because even from a young age, Lewis faced racism, and to prove the others wrong, he did it on track and he outperformed them, and he still does that today. So those are just my thoughts on the two. Let me know what you guys thought down below, and if you think I'm right. If you enjoyed this type of video as well, please let me know. If you enjoyed, drop the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Go and follow me over on Twitter. Thank you guys very much for watching. Bye guys.